I want you to picture the first time someone called you the smart kid. Maybe it was a teacher marveling at how fast you finished the worksheet, or a cousin who handed you the malfunctioning phone because apparently you had all the answers coded into your DNA. In that moment, a secret contract formed. We would supply the right answers on demand, and the world would pay us with easier roads, smoother approvals, perpetual gold stars. It sounded fair until the first time we froze before a question we couldn't answer and felt the contract renegotiate itself into a lifelong debt called perfection. This video begins right there, in the quiet panic behind polished report cards, because being labeled smart is less a crown than a bear trap lined with compliments. I'm inviting you into an experiment. For the next few minutes, we will strip intelligence of its mythic aura and examine the raw circuitry underneath. What does it actually purchase? Why does it often bankrupt emotional resilience? And most importantly, how can we convert raw cognitive horsepower into a life machine that hauls meaning instead of hauling anxiety? We'll spice the inquiry with some misbreed challenges, because nothing stress tests a theory like throwing it into the arena of real stakes and ticking clocks. My promise, by the final frame, you won't see your intellect as either a blessing or a curse. You'll see it as a set of gears you can reconfigure for any terrain.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound insights.
Let's open with a mental speedrun. Imagine a 13-year-old who learns differential calculus for fun, but cries silently in cafeteria corners, because group dynamics are a mystery no theorem solves. Fast forward 10 years, the same mind now codes neural networks yet hesitates to ask for a raise, fearful of revealing ignorance about corporate politics. Intelligence is a spotlight, and whatever it illuminates glows while the rest of the stage falls into even darker shadow. Our first insight: every strength purchases a blind spot, and IQ receipts are often stamped with non-refundable. The smart kid pays by losing the luxury of acceptable ignorance. Mistakes that earn others sympathy earn the smart kid labels like careless, lazy, underachieving. Question: when did you last allow yourself ignorance without shame? Philosophers from Aristotle to Kant insisted that knowing begins in wonder, but school conditioning warps wonder into performance. We memorize answers not to expand curiosity but to anticipate evaluation, the pop quiz, the leaderboard, the college admissions algorithm. Nietzsche warned that when a person's value is measured solely by intellect, the person becomes an instrument, not an end. I once hosted a challenge where contestants solved labyrinthine puzzles for a chance at $500,000. The highest IQ competitor cracked codes twice as fast as anyone else, yet panicked during the social alliance phase, and was outmaneuvered by average thinkers with stellar empathy. Intelligence won battles, adaptability won the war. So here's a deep practical question. Is your intellect serving you, or are you serving it? The answer lies in the daily micro-choices you make under pressure. When friends discuss feelings you don't fully grasp, do you lean in with genuine curiosity, or retreat to the safe arena of abstract analysis? When you meet a task beneath your cognitive level, do you dismiss it as trivial, or do you use the margin of ease to refine discipline? Smart kids often skip reps because the weight feels light, then plateau while slower peers build incremental strength. The hard truth is that mental reps follow the same iron law as gym reps. Stimulus plus recovery equals growth. Stimulus without effort equals ego inflation, and which pops at the first sign of real resistance. Let's inject a Merbeest scale demonstration. Picture two identical rooms. In room A, I drop 10 self-identified, gifted individuals, and hand them a logic maze with a guaranteed solution. Completion wins each player $10,000. In Room B, I drop 10 average scorers and give them a puzzle just beyond their tested capacity so hard they'll need collaboration. Which room finishes first? Historically, Room B snatches the prize, because collective grit outpaces isolated brilliance drowning in perfectionism. The twist when we later swap the contents, handing the impossible puzzle to the gifted group and the solvable maze to the average group. The gifted room often collapses under frustration while the average group celebrates a walk in the park. Moral baseline intellect matters far less than elasticity of mindset. Ask yourself, how elastic is yours? Elasticity emerges from failures decoded into feedback, but smart kids excel at avoiding environments where failure is public. We chase vertical achievements, harder math, deeper trivia, because these still reward the quick pattern recognition loop that earned us praise. Meanwhile, horizontal development, negotiation, emotional nuance, risk tolerance stagnates. It's like installing a turbo engine in a car that never leaves first gear. Existentialists call this the anguish of possibility. The smarter we are, the more ways we can imagine everything derailing. So we shrink our playground to what we already dominate. Super deep question: what would you attempt tomorrow if you accepted a 60% chance of public fumbling but a 100% chance of radical growth? Here's an intervention you can practice tonight. Write 2 columns. In the left, list arenas where your intelligence grants effortless wins, maybe solving equations, composing music, mastering video games. In the right, list arenas where you feel clumsy, conflict resolution, public speaking, physical coordination, budgeting, romance. Circle 1 right-hand item and design a 3-week micro-quest with clear metrics. For conflict resolution, you could mediate a minor disagreement at work. For public speaking, but join a local improv jam. Capture the discomfort in a journal. You're rewiring neural patterns to equate learning with joyous awkwardness, rather than threatened identity. Let's address the hormone cocktail brewing beneath cognition. High achievers often ride chronic cortisol spikes because their worth feels conditional on performance. Long term, this sabotages memory consolidation, undermining the very cognitive edge we celebrate. Solution: deliberate psychological safety zones. Schopenhauer argued that solitude cultivates originality, but solitude poisoned by self-judgment breeds rumination. Instead, schedule solitude infused with presence, 30 minutes with no metrics, walk, doodle, breathe. This resets the limbic system, allowing the prefrontal cortex, your intellect's command center, to function without smoke alarms blaring. Life advice: protect downtime as fiercely as deadlines. Smart brains without rest turn into glitchy supercomputers overheating at trivial tasks. We can't ignore the economic narrative. Society monetizes smart kids through credential pipelines, grades to scholarships, scholarships to internships, internships to salaried cubicles where creativity atrophies while the paycheck pacifies. The unspoken bargain: trade the uncertainty of exploring multidimensional identity for the certainty of linear expertise. Kierkegaard labeled this the despair of the finite self, living so narrowly defined that infinity becomes terrifying. My channel once took a prodigy hacker, offered him 2 doors. Door 1, a 6-figure job instantly. Door 2, funding to build an open-source cybersecurity tool he dreamed of. He chose door 2, failed twice, pivoted, iterated, and on year 3 launched a service that now protects millions of users and ironically earns him more than door 1 ever could. Smart gets you in the game, grit keeps you at the table. Quick scene change. I place a physical stack of SAT prep books on one end of a seesaw and a single dog-eared volume of Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning on the other. Guess which side hits the ground? The massive test prep outweighs, but the gravitational impact on the life well-lived comes from the slim philosophy book. Intelligence collects cargo, wisdom trims to essentials. So carve weekly space for content that speaks beyond your optimization cravings, poetry, spiritual meditations, biographies of people who bled and still built. You're balancing the seesaw. Now, a concrete tactic from behavioral economics. Implement a personal difficulty tax. Whenever a project feels trivially easy, add a constraint: shorter deadline, stricter word count, collaborative co-leader who sees the world differently. Constraints convert intelligence into innovation. Artists from Da Vinci to Kendrick Lamar leveraged deliberate limits. Try writing your next social post in 140 characters while conveying the same nuance. Watch your linguistic precision sharpen. Time for another reflective question. Whose applause calibrates your sense of success? If it's still the childhood teacher or parent who prized perfect grades, you're outsourcing your value to ghosts. Heidegger wrote that authenticity arises when we stand resolute before our own most potentiality for being, refusing the they-self that dictates norms. Translation: pick metrics you'd still honor if you were the last human alive. Could be craft integrity, could be kindness under stress, could be sustained curiosity. Build your scoreboard accordingly. Let me highlight the paradox of identity capital. Studies show gifted kids praised for innate ability display lower resilience than peers praised for effort. Carol Dweck's work on fixed versus growth mindsets demonstrates that emphasizing being smart ossifies the ego, emphasizing becoming skilled loosens it. Next time someone calls you brilliant, redirect: thanks, I've been practicing. You're recoding the narrative from talent to process, which liberates you to keep evolving. Let's integrate physicality. Smart kids sometimes treat bodies like inconvenient vehicles transporting brains to meetings. Yet embodied cognition research reveals that complex reasoning improves with aerobic exercise, novel neural connections sprout in movement. I challenge you, run a 5,000 while rehearsing your next presentation in your head, deliver it after. Notice clarity sharpen. Your brain is not a detached CPU, it's a rhythm instrument synced to heartbeats. Before this segment closes, visualize two graphs. Graph 1, a vertical line shooting skyward, IQ soaring early, plateauing by 25. Graph 2, a staircase rising indefinitely, skills, resilience, emotional depth climbing step by step. Ask which graph feels like a life you'd watch on Netflix. Intelligence is impressive, progression is binge-worthy. So choose the staircase. I leave you with this parting inquiry to marinate until we meet again. If tomorrow your cognitive gift vanished but your curiosity remained, how would you rebuild meaning from zero? Sit with that humility, it just might be freedom in disguise. We pick up right where curiosity left us, teetering on the edge of responsibility. I want you to imagine I hand you a suitcase containing a flawless diamond the size of your fist, market value, top, enough zeros to wipe out every financial anxiety you have ever whispered to your pillow. But here's the twist, the diamond is radioactive. It will become lethal if you keep it sealed away for pure admiration. Yet its radiation can be channeled into limitless clean energy if you dare to engineer the right containment field. Raw intelligence is exactly that: breathtaking, dangerous, inert until shaped. Our mission in the next several minutes is to learn the containment protocols, the conversion algorithms that turn cognitive wattage into public illumination instead of private decay. First, let's confront the hidden ledger. Every genius breakthrough you and I admire: CRISPR gene editing, reusable rockets, the polio vaccine debits a shadow account of responsibility. Jonas Salk declined to patent his vaccine. He literally gave away billions in potential revenue to accelerate immunization. Contrast that with the chess prodigy who spends decades perfecting openings no one outside a tournament hall will ever witness. Both carry bright minds, but only one accepts the heavier gravity of societal stakes. Super deep question: when your brain sparks with insight, do you instinctively ask, how profitable? Or whom will this liberate? The answer scripts the next decade of your biography. Let's drop a Mesbri scale experiment to stress test these priorities. I once offered a cohort of programmers two divergent tasks. Task A: build an app that finds the cheapest pizza within 10 blocks, minimal social impact, high ad revenue. Task B: build a text-to-speech enhancer for visually impaired users, immense social impact, uncertain monetization. They had 48 hours and the same prize money for completion. Observational insight: coders who chose Task B slept 2 hours less on average, yet reported triple the satisfaction score post-challenge. Here lies Theorem 1: meaningful complexity recharges effort instead of draining it. When intelligence grips a moral vector, it taps auxiliary batteries you never knew existed. But attaching morality to intellect isn't automatic. It demands reframing life as an ecosystem rather than a leaderboard. Schools and workplaces rank us linearly, but ecosystems thrive on diversity of function: pollinators, decomposers, apex predators. The smartest node in an ecosystem is the one that optimizes for whole system resilience, not individual dominance. Translate that: your breakthrough algorithm is admirable, but how does it interface with the janitorial databases, the HR protocols, the user who speaks zero English? Begin mapping your ideas' externalities, positive and negative. Aristotle called this phronesis practical wisdom that marries know-how with no why. Practical exercise: for your next project, brainstorm 3-second order effects before writing the first line of code. If you cannot articulate collateral benefits, you may be polishing a mirror that reflects only yourself. Let's pivot to the neurochemistry of altruism. Studies show that acts of service spike serotonin and oxytocin, hormones associated with long-term well-being. Interestingly, novel problem-solving also floods dopamine pathways. Combine both creative service, and you generate a neurochemical symphony that eclipses the short buzz of applause for being clever. Think of it as stacking emotional compound interest. Each time you deploy intellect in service, your brain files a profitable emotional memory, making future service easier. That's why Nobel laureates who later tackle humanitarian issues often report greater life satisfaction than those who disappear into purely theoretical subfields. Your wiring rewards contribution. Evolution was never stupid about incentives. Now, responsibility does not equal martyrdom. Too many smart kids swing from entitlement to self-sacrifice without passing through the healthy median called sustainable stewardship. Stewardship means designing feedback loops that replenish your energy. When we plant 1 million trees for a video, we partner with forestry experts, automate watering, and build local economies so the saplings survive long after cameras stop rolling. Likewise, when you share your expertise, whether tutoring, open sourcing, or mentoring, set boundaries that protect deep work time. A drained genius serves no one. A balanced genius scales impact. Consider the parable of Prometheus delivering fire to humanity and getting chained to a rock for eternity. The takeaway isn't hide your fire, it's secure a sturdy escape plan. Modern translation, patent agreements, ethical advisory boards, and mental health routines function as metaphorical bolt cutters. Do not romanticize burnout. The world's most valuable thermostat is your continued capacity to think audaciously. Let's ground this in a 3-step transmutation protocol. Step 1. Distill, articulate your gift in one factual sentence. I see patterns in complex healthcare datasets faster than peers. Avoid grandiosity, precision sharpens purpose. Step 2. Align, identify one pressing problem whose parameters harmonize with your gift. For example, hospital medication errors claim thousands of lives annually. Pattern recognition meets patient safety alignment achieved. Step 3. Amplify. Construct a system where your contribution multiplies through others. Train nurses to use your error-catching dashboard, publish methodology for international adaptation, invite critique to refine. Amplification transforms solitary brilliance into communal resilience. Test the protocol tonight with a micro gift. Maybe you write code, play violin, craft persuasive memos. Distill it, align it to someone's immediate need, amplify via sharing or teaching. Watch the feedback loop deposit genuine gratitude into your emotional bank, interest accruing daily. Quick cut to a philosophical lens wider than any YouTube frame. Jean-Paul Sartre argued that the human project becomes authentic when we assume anguish in face of total responsibility. He wasn't advocating paralysis. He was urging us to recognize that every choice invents a world. Smart kids often shy from that anguish by burying themselves in abstraction's safe, sterile world less. But the antidote is not to dumb down. It's to willfully enter the messy agora of human affairs where code meets crying faces, policies meet hunger, statistics meet funerals. You'll likely feel incompetent at first. Good. Competence will follow commitment, not precede it. Here's an uncomfortable inquiry. If tomorrow an AI replicated your technical brilliance perfectly, what residue of uniquely human value would you still offer? Empathy? Vision? Ethical judgment? Identifying that residue safeguards your relevance in a future where raw IQ is cheap. Our era rewards integrators, people who fuse data with discernment, speed with stewardship, train for integration by staging weekly collisions between random disciplines. Read Astrophysics Monday and Conflict Resolution Case Studies Tuesday. Your brain will protest. Cherish that discomfort. It means synapses are weaving new cross-domain bridges. Timestamp roughly midway. Let's jolt engagement with a counterfactual challenge. Think of the smartest villain in fiction: Lex Luthor, Moriarty, Light Yagami. Notice how their downfall stems from moral bankruptcy, not cerebral shortage. Intelligence untethered from ethics hollows itself into obsession. So craft your personal kryptonite detector. Jot 5 warning signs that your cognitive pursuits are drifting into ego gambling, maybe secrecy, zero-sum competition, dismissal of contrary evidence. Pin the list above your workstation. When even two signals flash red, pause and course correct. Future, you will write a thank you note back through time. Deep breath. We're entering the quick scene montage. A 17-year-old designing low-cost water purifiers. A retired mathematician teaching prisoners calculus. A group of gamers optimizing energy grids via crowd-sourced simulations. Each cameo illustrates our core equation, intellect x intent, A impact, where exponent represents amplification mechanisms, collaboration, technology, storytelling. You raise intent, but neglect amplification, and your brilliance remains boutique. Raise amplification, but neglect intent, and you mass-produce mediocrity. Balance yields exponential curves. Which prompts a pivotal question: what amplification channel is missing from your toolbox right now? Maybe you hoard research because writing terrifies you. Maybe you post threads but never prototype. Maybe you prototype but never pitch investors. To identify the weak link and design a fortnight sprint exclusively to strengthen it. We're forging a chain that can pull societal problems uphill. Now, responsibility also demands humility before uncertainty. The sharper your mind, the more agile your rationalizations. You can argue any flawed course into temporary plausibility. Build a habit of adversarial peer review, recruit friends or strangers to challenge your premises ruthlessly. In my philanthropy experiments, we allocate 10% of budget to independent auditors tasked with disproving our own hype. The best outcome is they catch us early. The second best is they confirm we're on track. Either way, truth wins, and ego learns to ride in the trunk. Physical counterpart, courage conditioning. Run mock presentations under hot lights, volunteer for difficult conversations, simulate crises. Stress inoculation in controlled doses prepares you for high-stakes deployment where intelligent decisions must sprint, not stroll. Remember, the brain that solves quantum equations at rest can misfire under cortisol flood. Train whole body resilience so cognition stays online when sirens blare. As we spiral toward closure of this segment, visualize intelligence as molten metal. Left unattended, it burns through floors. Poured into a mold, it becomes engine parts, surgical tools, musical strings. The mold is responsibility etched by values. But molds require periodic reforging to match new contexts. So schedule quarterly reflection retreats, even if just a silent afternoon, to reassess whether your current mold still aligns with global realities, climate, justice, AI ethics. Static molds eventually shatter under shifting heat. Final inquiry of this part: if historians in 2125 footnote your name beside a single societal upgrade, what headline would you pray they write? Sketch that headline tonight, then reverse engineer tomorrow's to-do list so the future citation inches closer to nonfiction.